Hi guys, it's France, week 76 of the Channel on Monday series. Welcome back everyone. As I wrote on my blog, I got my hand on some very new toys last weekend, well at least new to me, which are from the Handicrafts company. And today I'm starting with making my very own texture or modeling paste. So I started with the Handy-Tex, which is some kind of acrylic glue, to which I am adding the Handy powder. And the fun thing with this is that you can choose the consistency of your own modeling paste. Now you can also add all kind of fun other stuff like pigments or inks, but as it is the first time I'm using it, I'm being a bit careful and just going for the basic stuff. Now that I've mixed everything together and that I have the consistency that I like, I'm applying it over a Finnavar stencil, which is becoming one of my favorites. It's the one I always want to grab now when I want to apply something over a stencil on my spread. So applying the product was easy. And the next test would be the cleaning of the stencil, which is always a suspense, because it's not only good to have good products to work on your spread, you also have to be able to keep your tools in shape. And this wasn't a problem at all to get it cleaned up. That's when I had a little wow, because it's so neat on the spread. The modeling paste, the texture paste, is really staying where it should be. And that was a very welcome surprise. After drying it, I'm spraying some water over it so that I can add some color, and this time I'm going for the Colorex by PBO, which is a water-soluble ink. And I'm staying close to earthy tones except for the bright orange, which is actually a light yellow. All the ingredients, as usual, are listed on my blog. I also really like the way the homemade modeling paste picked up the colors. Adding some of the darker shades so that I can also have some soft drippage on my spread. And I wanted to soften it down a bit. It is still a background and it's too bright already, or too much in your face. So I'm adding some white dilutions and then blending it with some water. Again, another product from the Handicraft company. This is the mulberry bark. This is the bleached version. I also will be playing with the natural one, which is a brown one, of course. And it's a very easy way to add a lot of texture and dimension just in a simple step. The natural mulberry is brown, of course, and when you dip it in the Handy-Tex, it turns in some kind of leather. So it's a very fun texture. I feel that I will be playing with it a lot in the near future. After gluing it a bit down, I added some stitching to hold it in place. I grabbed an embellishment that I had made for another project and didn't use, which also had the same kind of stitching on it. And then I went for some Finnavar embellishments from the Mechanicals and the Vintage and Trinkets series. I'm placing 3 Real Memory Keepers eyelets using my Big Bites. And this will also help me keep the mulberry bark in place. those metallic embellishments, of course, had a home rusted treatment. And I'm simply keeping everything together in place using a brad. To make my wording work with the rest of the paper, I'm adding a bit of distress ink, going for the rusty hinge one, and fried burlap. This is my Stampedic design cube that I'm using to add some stains on the wording. I'm adding just a tiny piece of chicken wire, as I have a lot of those leftovers from my workshops on my table. And to keep it in place, I'm using brads that I'm placing over the metal in the paper. Like I said in my previous videos, working in this kind of journal, which is still the Finavar Mixed Media Art Journal, really gives you a lot of freedom when it comes to adding layers and texture and going really dimensional in your work. Adding a bit of distress ink around the edge, and while I was doing so, I thought it might be a good idea to not only add fried burlap and a bit of black around the spread, but also add some rusty hinge to bring out the orange tints of the Colorex that I used in the first layer. And this is the black soot. Stamping Stampedic stamps on some Paper Artsy smoothie paper. And I'm colorizing it using Copic markers. And then I'm also adding some black soot distress ink on the edges to cut out the whites. The video today is about 15 minutes long, and it took me a little over an hour to get it done. And as I don't like floating elements on my spread, I'm using a piece of washi tape to give them a place to stand on. I also made a little heart like I did in my previous videos. I didn't show you how I did it because I did it exactly in the same way as I did it in the other videos. And as I do want to add some journaling, I'm taking out a craft tag that I'm colorizing again using the same distress inks. Spraying some water to blend everything. Again using adding some stains with my design cube. And then going in with the Uniball pens to add just some thoughts. And I'm also adding some white accents on my printed text, which says today, I'm not crazy, I'm just mentally unrestricted. And to place my little Stampatic guy, I'm using 3D foam so that all the texture won't be in its way. As I do have to cut my page in two to fit it in the journal, I'm measuring it up, and usually I try to cut it using my paper trimmer. But this time it was so dimensional in the middle, I really had to go in with my scissors. And to make sure my sewing that I added all around the spread will stay in place, I'm adding a little piece of masking tape at the back. This was quite a struggle. It was quite tough to get through it. And then the elements that weren't glued down after cutting, I just placed them back with a bit of glue on the back. I decided to add some white splatters this time, so I'm taking out my fluid, my white fluid acrylic, diluting it with some water, and then adding the splatters with a brush. And to make the metallic flowers pop a bit more, I'm also adding a tiny bit of acrylic paint on those. I also added some accents on my stamped image with my white Uniball signal. And after that, I decided to also accentuate the texture on the biggest circles. And I'm doing this with oil pastel, just a tiny hint of it with the white iridescent one and then a copper colored one. That's it for today. Hope you liked the video. See you back next week. Have a good one. Ta-da!